10 a.m. It peaks, it's going really fast, 9 cubic feet per second. And then if you look over at the stage hydrograph, the next table, you can see that a couple hours later, the flood is at its highest and then begins to recede. So that is for each station. Each stream gauge would have its own discharge table and its own stage table. So the purpose of the station stage is to show what the flooding looked like at a particular time. Now we're showing all the stations, but only at one particular reading. I'm going to start in the west so that I don't draw over I don't cover it up with my hand. And so basically you are going to need a straight edge. So with your straight edge, you're basically going to be reading the station stage hydrograph. So here at station 20, which we know is actually there, I've got it at 147. But you know what? Where I've put these, her original numbers were actually fine. So I'm going to use those. Surprise! All right, so 156 is this line right here. So we have to go perpendicular from this stage. No, it's not going to work either. Well, maybe if we imagine that this actually makes a turn. Let's do that. Okay, that solves that nicely. So I'm going to use her original numbers because they seem to be working all right. And I'm going to try and go perpendicular to this. Remember, I'm imagining that it turned. I'm pretending that that's the way it actually went. Sometimes you just got to problem solve though. So I've got to go perpendicular to that. And I've got to go to 56. And it's already past 56 here, so I have to end at bank full. Now in AutoCAD, you're going to probably eyeball it, and this is where, you know, she talks about drawing a little line overlapping your center line and then rotating it 90 degrees and then, you know, having it be a line, not a polyline, so that you can hover over the end and lengthen it to there. Sure, knock yourself out. Or, you know, just eyeball it. That's fine. We're not building bridges here. All right, so the next one is 155. And 155 is an index contour, so I definitely know where that one's going. Okay. Now these are the flood extent lines. She calls it perpendicular lines. They go on their own layer. They're basically construction lines. You're really going to turn these off eventually. So again, we're trying to go perpendicular, and we can never go less than bank full away from our stream. And I know that this is 50. 1, 2, 3. There's our, and this is 55, 4, 3. So I'm just reading my contour map, using those skills. right there. See how that 51 is actually less than bank full? But remember, I can't ever be, I have to always be bank full. Always be thankful for bank full. Okay, in this case, the 48 is way, like I would never get to 48. And so I'm just at bank full here because it is at 148. And then this one is 146. $143, which is right where it is. So bank full. 141, which again is right where it is. 140, aha. Remember, I'm one off on these, so that's actually number 10. So that's 138. Remember, her numbering is backwards than mine. And we're at bank full again. $137, that's right where we are. 136. Okay, this is an interesting one. So this is going to go right to the edge of the property here, because here's 36. It actually comes out over this way probably. So we have to go all the way to the edge of our paper, edge of our parcel. 134. See, the flooding is worse downstream. Because those extent lines are longer. 28. So if this is 25, 26, 27, 28, so I'm going to be way out there. I'm stopping at the first time I hit the contour line of the flooding. 24, as luck would have it, this is 24, right on the edge of the basin itself. And yes, it is possible for a flood, you can see, to go over the ridge. This ridge is only so much elevation, and that flood was more. So yeah, it goes into the next basin. 23. I may have skipped one at some point. This is 22, but 23 is up there. 25, 24, 23 on that side, but bank full on that side. 22. Gotta go perpendicular to the channel. Okay, we're at the edge of our property already, and there's 22. So then this is where I have to do a little bit of detective work. In the places where I have crossed the ridge, and this is why it's important to still have your watershed or basin ridges available, because if you go past these, you have to sort of calculate how far this water will run. Remember, we had a tributary here. You can see that this is where we started to go off. So you want to make sure that your flood extent lines are sort of matching the contours of the earth. So if this is flooded to 122 feet, here, it's not just going to like miraculously stop there, okay? It's going to follow this contour. And just imagine that it goes like that. And then around here, joins that. And you can see we are crossing and this is another little stream, so we're going to follow that. We're just crossing contours obliquely as much as we can. So I want to favor places. See how it dips a little bit there? That's a tiny little ridge. So the flooding is going to go, it's going to seek the lowest spot. And see how this is a little high point. So it probably would have stopped there. So it's probably actually going to go around like that. And it's going to follow this. There's our property line. And it's definitely going to fill that in. But then it's going to come to follow the bank. And all I'm doing is being a little creative, following the ends of the flooding. So there's a little tiny stream. I'm going to follow that. Just remember, water's going to follow it. And I actually should have stopped there. And then sweep around. And then probably, there's some V's right there. It'll probably go off like that. Okay, that's our watershed. So now I'm going to use blue to fill in where the flooding will be. So you can see the flooding upstream is actually even a little bit outside the watershed. Remember, same thing. You're going to be putting polylines here, isolating that layer, turning off. You're just isolating the edges. All the stream, everything will be turned off because you've isolated the flood plain delineation boundary, and then you can hatch it quite easily. So you can see blue is where there is floodplain outside the watershed. Pink is where there's watershed outside the floodplain. And purple is where the watershed gets flooded. And according to the book, I think this is a 100-year flood.